Gonky, I'm
What do we got?
afraid to say this word actually. And why they use this word, Douglas? What is an air littoral?
I've been trying to figure that out. It usually refers to the area near a coastline. It's sort of like, where big ships can't go in, like the littoral combat ship. But I'd never heard the phrase air littoral before. I can.
Oh, it's
do some
literal.
research. Yeah.
Is that
literal.
how we say it? Not littoral.
It sounds just like literal. I mean, you can say littoral if you really.
Depends on which parish you're from there, Mover.
Say it carefully.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying here. All right, so we're not going to use
Google
that word at all. Please do. So the article is Drones, that word, and the Looming Irrelevance of the United States Air Force by David Barno and Nora Ben-Sahil. Today, the U.S. Air Force faces an almost existential crisis. During the past several years, the service has been battered by the loss of its prestigious space mission to the Space Force, struggled to balance the continued acquisition of expensive new manned aircraft, and rapid developments in unmanned technologies. We once published the catastrophic success of the Air Force, which argued that the service completely dominated the air domain for so long that it was not prepared to fight the bloody war for control of the skies. Valid. Biggest problem is the masses of uncrewed drones have wrested command of the air away from the manned aircraft in the skies above the modern battlefield. Drone revolution means that it will be very difficult, if not impossible, for services to achieve air superiority in future conflicts. They talk about Ukraine. For 70 years, Air Force maintained the unbroken air superiority over every battlefield in which troops fought. But why now? Drones have been around for decades. The war in Ukraine has dramatically accelerated the use of drones in ways few could have predicted. They fill the skies above the battlefields in numbers that were simply unimaginable 2 years ago, conducting vital missions in surveillance, intelligence, early warning, precision strike. They are so crucial to Ukrainian operations that President Zelensky called upon his country to produce 1 million drones in 2024. And he hopes to receive another million drones from NATO allies and partners. The U.S. military is woefully unprepared for this. Newly contested subdomain. The drone inventory looks nothing like Ukraine's. Failed to keep pace. Countering drones is the other problem. It's one of the pressing tasks. And obviously, the F-35 remains important for high-intensity conventional warfare, but they're planning to buy 1,763, which will remain in service to the year 2070. That's $130 million for buying and operating life cycle. But he's estimated that a single Chinese sunflower suicide drone is only $30,000. Gonky, you could buy one. So you could purchase 16,000 sunflowers for the cost of one F-35A. And since the full mission-capable rate of the F-35 is hovered around 50%, opportunity cost of about 32,000 sunflowers, which do you think creates more problems for air defense? Obviously, the Army, we talked about, canceled its future reconnaissance helicopter. They retired its aging Shadow and Raven legacy drones, and they want to buy 600 Coyote counter-drone drones. Air Force needs to learn air superiority has fundamentally changed, reoptimize the force for air power competition. The breathtaking advance of drone warfare is ongoing conflicts, meaning the meaning of air superiority and challenging traditional notions of air power. And the reason I brought this up, Gonky, is because, dude, this is fascinating to me because I wondered, we talked about, think of the horse, right? Going into battle, you would be, the knights and everybody. If you were rich, you were on everybody would be on a horse, and the tanks came about and bigger vehicles that could throw projectiles farther away. And now the horse is a luxury item, and the car is what the poor people have. Yeah. It is interesting to me that we're sitting here talking about 5th gen being obsolete in an environment where it may or may not work. And I think it's a good point. And hear me out. I'll let you hit the counterpoint on this if you'd like. But hear me out. Ukraine has shown us that a solid IAD system almost negates the need, because it's a small conflict, right? And so it's a bit of a microcosm. It's not necessarily a big regional or a big global conflict or World War II or World War III or anything like that. It's a very regionalized conflict. So everybody's in their integrated air defense zone as soon as they take off. And there's an article we're going to talk about later about the Su-34 nightmare and the fact that the Russians are losing Su-34s at an unprecedented rate. And they've lost the A-50s. And when they put the Patriots in place, and now they're using these suicide drones and stuff like that, you almost find yourself in a position where you don't need traditional air superiority, because there's nothing that's airborne that can shoot these little drones down. And so, because right, what is air dominance? Air dominance is our ability to secure the air so that the troops on the ground can operate without any kind of restriction. So we can attack strategic targets, we can attack tactical targets, we conquer command of the air, and then we move into a close air support scenario. But those strategic targets are the first, 6 to 9 days of the war, and then we clear the air picture, our Zamboni driver friends, the Eagles, then move out and let the other jets do their jobs. Well, in a scenario where drones are the way you operate, whether it's big drones, the sunflower drones, the 30,000 drones, because remember, something that's always been a concern is having enough weapons. And if you can overwhelm a fighting force because you don't have enough missiles to shoot down 30,000 drones at one time, or it's just airspace saturation, it doesn't matter. You can have the 9th gen fighter and you just can't. You're swarmed, you're overwhelmed. But then you take that, so that's, the 30,000 foot level, but then you take it down to the 10-foot level, the 15-foot level, where you've got these little small drones that are, radar's not going to pick them up. They're flying between trees. What do you have at this point? So it does provide a shift to where you do need to worry about the small drone that is going to take out your platoon, because they can drop an RPG right in the middle of you, and all you heard was a little bit of buzzing before that. So I ask you, Gonki, does this change the way we think about air dominance, or does it become a situation where we exploit the weaknesses, which are data links, their ability to communicate, because something has to operate them. Now, AI, different story, but right now, these first-person drones are being operated by somebody. So, are we talking, how do we deny these drones and go back to the war that we're used to fighting? Or does air warfare turn into hypersonic missiles and drones?
Yeah, I read through that article. It was pretty eye-opening. It really got me thinking. You kind of hit the nail on the head, man. The whole, as fancy and as, snooty as the Air Force thinks they exist to get the 18-year-old proverbial, like soldier with a machine gun on the bad guy's real estate, period.
Yeah.
Everything is support for that guy. All the ships, all the helicopters, fighter jets, you name it, it's all there. So, I got to thinking, like, who's to say that, what if you could make like 100,000 little micro drones, like the size of they're small now, but 10 years from now, they get even smaller. And at some point, they're basically not undetectable, right? And you combine it with AI, they don't eat, they don't sleep. You could just release them. They just keep going. Yeah. You could, I think it has the potential to not only, make the Air Force, maybe irrelevant's not the right word, but it's definitely made me think that future warfare is definitely has the potential to be drastically different. Because if you can take it, we're getting a glimpse of it, like you said, in Ukraine, these, guys wrenching on the A50, getting it ready for the next day's mission. All of a sudden, this drone shows up flying through the woods. They don't see it, they don't hear it, nothing in the place, right? It's got a warhead on it, it blows up and takes everybody out. It's almost like having like thousands of little assassins.
Yeah.
I'm reading in the comments here, EMP. I don't know a lot about, EMPs.
Well, you have to, so EMP works both ways, right? If you just randomly drop an EMP, you have
Lights
to be
out.
Shielded.
Yep.
You have to be able to protect your own communications.
Yeah.
It's not just a one size fits all, because here's the thing with drones, manned aircraft, we dogfight, we do BVR because it's man versus man, and we're trying to claim that airspace.
Right.
So we clean out that air picture, and then we can operate autonomously, like Afghanistan and the Iraqi wars, both wars. But it's man versus man. In this case, there is no clear air picture because drones have no reason to fight each other because they're one way. There's no death. You know, you are basically creating a missile. It's just, we're not calling it a missile, we're calling it a drone, but that's what it is. It's fire and forget, because you can build 30,000 of them. You don't care. I mean, you lose one, you lose a F-35, and guess what? That's on the news. You know, because you got the pilot too, and somebody, but it's different because we've kind of joked about this before, right? About drone v drone, who cares? Because, you know, eventually it's just a video game. But this is not drone v drone. This is drone v soft pink body in a foxhole that very easily can be killed by you know, a hand grenade, you know, that he or she never knew that was on its way.
Yeah, man, like I said, I read through that article, and it made me think of not just the Air Force and how they do business, but like the Navy. I mean, I mean, right? You showed that picture of like 6 carriers all parked there in Norfolk. You know, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, the Japanese steaming half a fleet from Japan and launching all these piston powered airplanes. You know, you can launch these things at night. Nobody knows. Weapons are much more powerful these days, and I mean, do a lot of damage. I have to think there's guys sitting in rooms just doping this stuff out.
You hope. I mean,
I hope so.
That's the thing, is right. We're speculating as people that aren't in DARPA. We don't know what the next technology is. Gonky doesn't know anything about drone tech. You know, I don't either, except for what's off the shelf. You know, I have used my drone before, you know, but I just look at it as, I could see a scenario where we rely heavily on missile systems and drones. And that is your air war, because I mean, what else is there after that? Because if the 18-year-old in the foxhole can open his backpack and throw up a drone and kill the fighter that is, you know, 100 meters away, well, do you really even need the close air support picture anymore? You know, and the same thing with these strategic targets. The fact that Ukraine is getting into Russian territory and taking out high value assets or oil refineries or any of that stuff, let's assume it's true. I mean, I know we've talked about a lot of stuff that's coming out of that theater. We don't know if it's true or false or verified or unverified, but let's assume it's true. Dude, that is, and then that goes back to what's stopping them from coming here. You know, we always project power, but with a open border, what's stopping them from coming here and inflicting mass casualties against us while we're trying to fight a war thousands of miles away?
Well, I mean, the other thing it does, which is, you know, super scary for a superpower, is I think it totally levels the playing field.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got a 9th gen fighter. I don't care. When it's parked on that ramp, I'm going to take it out and you're not going to know.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
I mean,
dude, look at World War II. We had to, we sacrificed thousands of our own airmen to bomb factories, to bomb infrastructure, because we had to, right? That was the only way we could get that ordnance there. A 6-man soft team, a special ops team, can now get in the country, and each one has their own drone, and they do the same amount of damage or more.
Yeah, I mean,
that is the scary part, is the asymmetric warfare potential that you now run into, and you have to have hardened targets. I mean, everything has to be a hardened target against that yesterday.
Yeah, but then I mean, then it's about the personnel, right? I mean, you know, everything can't be hardened, right? I mean, you know, you can take out equipment and you can take out people with these things, which is
so the other piece to it too, because we can't just say, well, the Air Force is obsolete because, you know, we're fighter pilots and we think fighter centric, but where the fighters are going to still be necessary, or at least some capability, is for the mobility side of things, because you're still going to have to move stuff. You still have to move troops. You still have to move supplies, tanks, all that stuff. The only way it gets to the battlefield, because that's what holds the territory, is the boots on the ground. But you're still going to have that. So I can still see the fighter being that escort, but,
Might be a
because
drone escort, man. I don't
it
know.
could be. I mean, it could be. It could be it could be that the loyal wingman is just attached to a C-17 somewhere, and hey, Fido, go kill.
And he's willing. He's willing to soak one up for the team.
Yeah, yeah. But even if it is willing to do that, we still can't afford that level of attrition because you still have to build them.
That's
you know,
true,
so
yeah.
the self-preservation still has to be there, because if you lose all your drones, guess what? And then it becomes a manufacturing battle. And that's what happened in World War II as well, because that was a meat grinder.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the counter is towards this. We've talked about it a little bit on
Yeah.
the show with regards, like, hey, how's the Navy handling this stuff? And it's pretty clear to me they're grasping for for something right now. But it'll be interesting to see if what kind of weapons come out of this, man. As far as, it might not even be weapons, I don't know, but whatever the countermeasures are.
Dude, we need the modern version of Doolittle in this conflict. Like that is what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to who can be the most innovative and not get stuck in, we've been fighting wars the same way, because that article made a lot of sense in the previous article. 20 years of fighting an uncontested air environment has made us soft, lazy,
makes you weak.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%, man. Because that's where all the money and the funding.
Yep.
And I mean, even, a lot of the Top Gun briefs I got was all laser bombs. I mean, you're right. 100%.
And with the way our acquisitions process is right now, I worry about our ability to get up to speed fast enough, because look at the T7, look at the MH139, look at
F-35.
Dude, we're so bad at this now.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there's there's only a handful of very large military companies in the US, and it's almost like they have a stranglehold on it, and it's just like, man.
Well, they have a stranglehold on fighters and large aircraft. Drones, they don't. So there is a chance now, as technology grows. I mean, AI especially. We remember Falco. We did the AI, the DCS thing, and AI versus that. I mean, that's a small company. They just bid for it, and it worked out. And look how they're advanced through their processes. We ought to get them back on the show, because I think they've done a lot of cool things since then. Dude, all I will say to finish this topic off is, I was not a believer until this war, till the Ukraine. This has opened my eyes to, like, hey, we're not the top of the food chain anymore.
Well, I mean, and the Houthis, right? I mean, you've got, I mean, like I said, it's like the who's right? Right. But what I'm saying is, like, you're out there poking the United States Navy. Dude, it's everything about everything about drone technology is, to me, it's kind of scary. Like I said, you combine that with AI and some weird Terminator stuff, and it starts going off in my head, which I don't like it.